This one is going to be interesting. I'm going to open. I think I can do both of these. So I got a question too about dating, and this has been. I could do a whole webinar on this. Um, the biggest red flag for you in dating is. I'm going to open that card. You know what? But I also want it because we focus a lot on red flags, don't we? We just like red flag, red flag. You hear that all the time. I kind of like also trying though to balance that a little bit with some green flags. Let's focus on some good, right? Because we all have red flags. Everybody does, especially when it comes to dating. So the other question, oh, I can only do one at a time. Okay, we'll start with the red. Biggest red flag. No, we're going to go with the green. Let's do the green first. I like that one. Biggest green flag in dating for you is? What is the biggest green flag for you? Um, as I thought about that, and we'll get to the red flag question in just a moment. The biggest green flag for me is this. And it goes back to a story, an experience I had with my daughters when we were traveling. I don't even remember where we were going, but we were in the car. And they were having some fun and trying to see just how much I loved them. And they were trying to test that a little bit. And so they'd say things like, "Dad, do you love us as much as ice cream?" To which I'd say, it depends what flavor. And I say, "No, of course I love you more than ice cream. Dad, do you love us more than, you love football or basketball?" Yeah, I love you more than I love football and basketball. "Dad, do you love us more than you love your truck?" That one was a tough one. I had to think on that one for a minute. But eventually I said, yeah, I love you more than I love my truck. And that was my youngest that I think she thought she had me. And she said, "Dad, do you love us more than you love God?" And I knew in that moment I had the best teaching opportunity I could give, for them. And I said, "No, I don't." And both of I could hear them from the back seat. What? What, Dad? What do you mean you don't love us more than you love God? And I tried to teach them a very important and valuable lesson. And I've referenced this many times in my podcast. This is the triangle principle, right? It's the premise for just about every relationship. In every relationship, there's an unseen third participant, and that's God. I put God always at the top of that triangle, and then whoever the other two people are in the relationship on each corner. And as you notice in the triangle setting, as two people move closer to God on that triangle, the distance between them also narrows. In other words, as we grow closer to God, we actually grow closer to ourselves, to each other, right? The opposite is also true. If I'm moving away from God, or my spouse is, or the person I'm in a relationship with, right? Or if we both are, chances are we're not going to, well, we're not. The distance between us is growing as well. And I have just seen that. I have seen that play out time and time again, that when people are putting God first in their life and in their relationship, then they love each other more. And that's what I was trying to teach my girls. And I've recognized that, like, as a father, my love for them increases as I come to love God more. Like, He gives me the the power and the ability to love them even more than what I normally could. And for me, that's the biggest green flag to look for in a relationship is somebody that has God as a priority, right? In some way, shape, or form, however that looks like for them in their life, because I know that He has power to help them to love more in depth and more intently. And it's the same with loyalty, right? Boy, we live in a world where loyalty is so hard to come by. There's temptation everywhere. People are constantly reaching out to each other. So how do you promote loyalty? Well, again, I think the more loyal we are to God, the more loyal we will be to each other. Joseph, right, of Egypt, who was tempted of Potiphar's wife, very easily could have given into that temptation, but what did he do? He got out. He ran out of that situation. How come? Because he was loyal first to God. He didn't want to offend God because he had a relationship with him and he needed his help and he wanted to stay close to him. That's the biggest green flag for me to look for, at least my opinion, in another person. Elder Holland, a leader of my faith, this is one of my favorite quotes. Tell me what you guys think of this, but he says that he and his wife, Sister Holland, had been married for 54 years. And that you don't find that too often anymore, but 54 years. He says, I may not know everything about her, but I know 54 years worth, and she knows that much of me. He says, I know her likes and her dislikes, and she knows mine. I know her tastes and interests, hopes and dreams, and she knows mine. The result is that I know much more clearly now how to help her. And if I let myself, I know exactly what will hurt her. In the honesty of our love that can't truly be Christ-like without such total devotion, surely God will hold me accountable for any pain I cause her by intentionally exploiting or hurting her when she has been so trusting of me. You even catch that statement? What is he concerned with? Right? God will hold him accountable. He's loyal to God. He trusts God, and so it helps him want to be loyal and trustworthy to her. And then he says this, I believe the staying power in romance and marriage requires more than any of us really have. And I believe that too today. From everything I've seen, it's just there is the staying power that's required now in relationships and marriage requires more than any of us really have today for so many reasons. He says it requires something more, an endowment from heaven. He says you want capability, safety, and security in dating and romance, in married life, and in eternity, then be a true disciple of Jesus. Be a genuine, committed, word and deed believer in him. Believe that your faith has everything to do with your romance, because it does. Jesus Christ, the light of the world, is the only lamp by which you can successfully see the path of love and happiness for you and your sweetheart. How should I love thee? As he does, for that way never faileth. Anyway, I love that statement, and believe wholeheartedly in that. So there is my green light, biggest green flag for a relationship. Before we get into the red flags, let me just check